Chapter 26, one of my favorite chapters. I really debated whether chapter 26 should have been right below chapter 2, but the consensus was, the editors, it needed to go where it is. It's chapter 26. So it's kind of late because the book is so robust that this very important chapter is at the end. What is the premise of 26? The premise of 26 is challenging what we'll call the norm and a procedure of civil procedure taught probably since the beginning of the United States. ADR, or mediation arbitration within the litigation system, I don't know, 20, 30 years, kind of depends on the state or whatever. And I would say we're doing it before then, but where it's really totally embraced in the legal process and the litigation process and mandated in most cases. How about a dual approach? I mentioned it in chapter 2, the video in chapter 2 and in the text in chapter 2. What I call the dual approach, and some states are already doing this. It's not that I live in Florida, but the world doesn't revolve around Florida. Why can't we pass federal and state legislation that requires you to go to mediation for 90 days before you can file a lawsuit? Switch the consumer mindset. I got a dispute, I'm going to go. We'd like you to come to Justine, but I have competitors. I can't handle all the disputes. I hope people see TDR methodology as a set of standards for this type technology. I'd be glad to have other competitors. You can license a patent if you'd like to for a very fair price, as long as I know you're doing civic good and you're trying to get the 60 to 80% of the people who can't afford to participate or can't afford a lawyer and don't even understand how to participate. Make it simple. Make it from your phone. Make it inexpensive. Our Resolve Talk allows you to click and get legal advice. I've pointed out several times in the book, the videos that accompany the book, mediation is not a legal process. Kind of smells like it now because when you go in there today, the last decade plus, you got 2 attorneys in there, and boy, that just ain't. And you got the mediator's likely a former attorney or a current attorney or a retired judge. So it smells pretty legal. Doesn't need to be. This technology allows you to try it before. So if the states and the federal government says you can't file a lawsuit till you come in with what's called an impasse certificate. An impasse certificate would be you tried it for 90 days and you couldn't reach it, and the professional organization recognizes and judges it's an impasse, then you can go in and file the suit. Lower the dockets by exponentially, lower the cost exponentially, ease the access. There might even be more disputes because we talk about how backlogged the courts are. How many cases don't go to court because they don't know what to do and can't afford it? And they let the disputes just give them mental anguish. And you talk about anxiety, especially in these divorces, high conflict divorces. And I've had about 3 or 4 lawsuits in my life I've been a party to that just drag on, and all you do is wait for your attorney to see what's next. And are they really? Why do they have to represent you? I understand they have to represent you because of procedure and motions and depositions and what you can say and you can't say. Why is that needed? I want people that helps is the attorneys. The legal profession get richer. As a little boy, I grew up in a middle class, maybe even lower middle class of Louisville, Kentucky. And my mom was a legal secretary. I talk about her in the conclusion and the dedication. And we would get invited in the summer, she's a legal secretary, to the attorney's children's birthday parties. They all had bigger houses. They all had concrete swimming pools. You remember from Beverly Hillbillies, the concrete pond. They've always been upper income. Why? It's a service. So the teachers get paid nothing. The psychologists get paid near nothing. But the lawyers get rich. Why? It's going to change, folks. Think outside the box. If you've got anything, we're in chapter 26. If you're still with me reading, we're almost done. Anytime you have to say why. It's not just because that's how it's been done. AI is going to change everything. I'll end with a little bit of humor. My mom's name is Carolyn. Judge Carroll, who's on our advisory team, she's a retired judge from Michigan. She, when we came up with the concept of Justine, this next generation AI-enabled, the bot, and that, she suggested Justine because it's justice. And my mom passed in 2013. She was a big impact in my life. I lost her, and my brother, she was a wonderful mother. She was always there for us, don't get me wrong. But she spent 40 hours a week plus at a law firm. And then she was in the legal secretaries organization, local Louisville chapter, state chapter, national chapter, became president of the National Association of Legal Secretaries. AI is going to do away with her job. All this paperwork and how this technology works and suggestive settlements based on like settlements and suggested frameworks. We don't even need to pay LegalZoom and these things for forms anymore. These can be generated on the fly. You just don't need lawyers. Okay, sorry, lawyers. It's the future. Every industry is going to change. The legal industry, you're not exempt from it, and you can't threaten your way out of it with UPL. Society and customers could demand change. Was anybody looking for Uber? And it just all of a sudden came. Cab companies, limo companies, like, oh my God, my business is gone. Did anybody anticipate Airbnb and how many rooms they have under management? I think the last time I seen an article, there's more rooms under management, or Airbnb manages more rooms than Hilton, Hyatt, and Marriott put together. Legal industry, you're about to change. We're going to be right there. We've been pushing for this change for 13 years. Our patience, we had to wait for the technology to catch up with us. The original concepts in 2013, I had a really brilliant young man who was a graduate student from conflict resolution, who then went on to law school. I think he attended Georgetown Law School. He recognized this, and we had to write a lot of lines of code to do a lot of things that AI does now. That's why it's so exciting. So thank you. You're almost at the finish line of the book. This is probably, as I said, a few chapters, one of the most important chapters of the book. Thank you.